question of the day is, should Crash Bash get a remake? Let's discuss right now.
I got hot sauce in my bag, swag.
A quick shout to Mad Out. I think that's how you say your name. It's down here, so at least people can see it. But thank you so much for this fan art of Meadow Duckles. So not only do we have Meadow Duckles here, we also have quite a few other characters. So I see Sonic over here. I see Spongeword over here. So yeah, this is really cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anyway, hello there, beautiful human. My name is RidersDX, and welcome to my channel. Where today I got a pretty interesting topic to talk about, and that is the idea of a Crash Bash remake. And so there's been a lot of discussion about a Crash Bash remake, especially recently, and that is no doubt due to the success of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So this game's been out for like a couple weeks at this point, and it's basically become a big smash, you know, probably the game of the summer. So many people are enjoying this game, racing online, grinding for those Wampa coins and everything. You know, people are very happy with how this game turned out, and so obviously people are looking to the future of Crash, like what's coming next. Wow, there's a lot of people that want to see a brand new Crash game come out next. There's also a very good amount of people that also want to see a Crash Bash remake. And so for those of you who don't know, and actually am not too familiar with the game myself, but Crash Bash was a Crash centered party game that came out shortly after Crash Team Racing did back in the PlayStation 1 days. So it was the first Crash game to not be developed by Naughty Dog, and thus it had mixed reception compared to the games that came before it. But obviously there's still a lot of people that played that game back then and have a lot of fond memories of it, and so there is a good amount of people that are voicing their desire for a Crash Bash remake. And like I said before, this is especially starting to heighten due to the success of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So in terms of the Twitter world, it kind of started with this one tweet that I saw in response to the official Crash Bandicoot account. And so here's the tweet that I'm talking about. This is a tweet that was tweeted out by Crash Bandicoot. It's basically talking about the biker Crash skin coming to the pit stop. And then I saw this tweet over here that said, "That's great, but let's get Crash Bash remastered." And of course, you have this picture over here that basically talks about some of the key features of Crash Bash. This stirred up quite a response in the comments, so let me read a few of the comments that immediately came upon this tweet being tweeted out. How about no? That's great, but let's stop being obnoxious asking for a failure to be remade. Delete this before I make you tonight's big loser. What's with all these Crash Bash fanboys coming out of the woodwork and asking for a remake? The game isn't even that good. Half of the minigames are tedious and repetitive. Mario Party, it ain't. Hey, sweet remaster of beloved game, guys. Can we have this game now? My attention span is the size of a flea. Oh, and don't stop at Crash Bash. Let's get every single game redone, because who wants a completely original game, right? Off. My god, just stop asking for more remakes. It's time for a new game. No. But despite what seems like a very loud majority that are detesting a Crash Bash remake, there's still a decent amount of support that is supporting a Crash Bash remake. Here are some of the comments that I was able to find from Twitter that supported a remake. At Beanox Team, congratulations! Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is amazing. I just got it today. Super excited playing it. Are looking at producing a remake of Crash Bash in the future? One game I would love to get remastered is Crash Bash. That game was so fun to play growing up. Alright, we got the new Crash Trilogy, CTR, so now it's time to complete the saga and give us what we deserve. Crash Bash. Crash Bash remake when? We are all loving these remastered Crash games. One game that I think should be remastered as well as Crash Bash. Please make it happen. Bandicoot, I'm loving CTR. Playing it as a kid but never appreciate for what it was. I only got one question. Crash Bash when? And so obviously there's a lot of mixed reception in terms of whether or not people want to see a Crash Bash remake or not. And so what do I think about this? Okay, so prefacing this, I've not actually played Crash Bash and I don't know too much about the game itself apart from like some of the main general details, but in my personal opinion, I don't think a Crash Bash remake would be a smart idea. A couple reasons I think about this. One, just from what I've heard about it and from what it looks like, there simply isn't enough content in the game to justify a remake. I really do think that to live up to today's standards, they would have to input a lot more content in the game. Like the original game would basically have to be like 20% of the game to kind of constitute like a game that would be okay by today's standards in terms of a remake. And so if that's gonna happen, then you might as well just call it a new game. It really shouldn't be called a remake if most of the content is actually brand new. I mean, I guess you could argue to get content from Boom Bang as well to include in a remake, but you know, it's just like at this point, why not just start fresh and make a brand new party game? Maybe incorporate the mini games in Crash Bash, but I just think that like with the standards that are set today of party games, Crash Bash in terms of its content, it's just not enough to justify a remake. You know, not even Crash Team Racing was enough to justify a remake. That's why the Beanox went and imported all the content from Nitro Kart. That's why they did that, because Crash Team Racing by itself, it's not a game that has enough content to withstand today's standards. But with Crash Bash, what could you import? The only game I could think of is Boom Bang, and I'm not really sure what that game is all about either. Not sure how different it is compared to Crash Bash, but I just think, you know what, it probably would just be a better and more profitable idea to go for like a brand new game that incorporated Crash Bash's mini games. However, there's also something I want to say to the Crash community overall, just to remind you when discussing this topic, everyone is entitled to their opinions. So while I don't agree with a Crash Bash remake, I actually am a very avid supporter of a Crash Twinsanity remake. And the reason that I'm supportive of that is because I think a Crash Twinsanity remake should not just be a remake of the original game, it should be a game that includes all the cut content and even maybe some of the new ideas that they had for a Crash Twinsanity sequel or spin-off. Like I know there was one idea in particular of having Cortex maybe kind of starring in his own game that takes place after Crash Twinsanity, maybe some more levels with Cortex specifically following that plot line. So that's why I'm really interested in hoping that we get a Crash Twinsanity remake, because I think that like there's so much potential for expansion of that game simply because of the cut content that had to be cut from the game due to time constraints and budget. But that's my opinion, and I respect anyone that disagrees and does not want to see a Crash Twinsanity remake. Like for example, I remember tweeting out that I wanted a Crash Twinsanity remake, and there was someone that responded to the tweet that said they did not like Crash Twinsanity, but they would love to see a Crash of the Titans remake. And quite honestly, that comment made me want to barf. Like Crash of the Titans is probably like one of my least favorite Crash games ever, so to see a remake of that, I'd just be really disappointed because, well, I definitely would not want to buy it, that's for sure. But that's their opinion, and I'm okay with that. You know, despite how much I dislike that game, there's definitely people who grew up with that game and love that game for what it is and would love to see more gameplay like that, and that's just reality. And the same goes for Crash Bash fans. You know, it may not seem like a great game to like me, but for the people that grew up playing it, obviously it had a big impact on their lives, and that is why they want a remake so much. And so I just think we need to remember at the end of the day that like these are all video game opinions, and we really should not game up on people for wanting something that we think is a really bad idea. Everyone should be allowed to express their own opinions, express their desires. It's really up to Activision themselves to deduce like whether a game is worth making or not. And so there's no use in trying to silence people that want a Crash Bash remake, because that's wrong and that's just like not a good thing to do at all. I have my personal opinions on what kind of games I want to see remade and what kind of games I don't want to see remade, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about this topic. Are you supportive of a Crash Bash remake, or are you not supportive of a Crash Bash remake? Let me know why or why not in the comment section below, and also let me know if there's any other games you would want to see remade, or if you want a brand new game entirely. Let's have a really good discussion about Crash Bandicoot's future from here on out. Yeah, thank you so much everyone. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these, want to see more in the future, follow me on Twitter or Twitch, and join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. Big shout out to Reese Gaming, my one and only patron. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member and get access to a bunch of cool perks, then please consider joining in the description box below. That is it everyone, this is Riders, riding out.